Now joining us again, we have Dr. Joseph Fefa, an economics from Benue State University, Makadi. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, so right to the questions. All through last year, Nigerians witnessed an economy with so much dissatisfaction given the high cost of foodstuffs, commodities, and services. How would you underscore the president's approach in tackling economic situation and bringing some sort of succor to the people?
You see, if you look at what happened last year, 2024, and what we anticipate on the basis of the current budget, you realize that, as it has already been mentioned by Onyekwere, inflation rose to 34.80%, which is the all-time high in the last 27 years. And then the approach so far by the CBN to curb inflation in this country has been to increase monetary policy rate, which is a price tag of the central bank for borrowing money. And then when you raise it, what that means is that commercial banks and other financial institutions will increase their lending rates, and then it will increase the cost of loan for businesses and individuals. And then it will now has a problem with how much that is invested in the economy, and then it will cause problem for unemployment that is already exacerbated, and it will increase the cost of living for the people. Now, when you look at the situation at hand, you will see that there is no concerted, deliberate effort on the part of government to see that in the coming year or within the 2025 year's cycle, budget cycle, there's a tendency that this is going to reduce because insecurity is on the high side, and more so that the inflationary pressure that is coming into the country is not demand pull, it is cost push on the basis of the fact that the economy is predominantly import dependent. So until concerted effort is made deliberately on the part of government to invest in the real sector, which, as had been mentioned by my co-commentator in agriculture, manufacturing, and the industrial sector, and the service sector and transport sector, this policy of subsidy removal and floating of the dollar, where we are completely and highly consuming economy and import dependent, it is not a step in the right direction, and we may be heading to doom. That is why the budget of 2024, which was supposed to be a hope renewal budget, became a hope blinking budget for many Nigerians, as many people are living way below the poverty line, increasing the cost of living and causing serious difficulty for Nigerians. And concerted efforts must be made on the part of government deliberately to curb the issue of insecurity, increase wages, and create an enabling environment for real economic business in the real sector to thrive. Otherwise, we are still at a crossroad.
Okay, all right. So going by the recent statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics, there is indication that Nigeria's inflation rate have risen to 34.8% from previous
Yes.
34.60%. Does it not portend more trouble for the country? And what are the parameters to watch out for in stabilizing the economy? Because we know that the federal government promised better things for us for 2025 economy-wise.
It is not simply by government making promises. We have heard these promises over and over again. If you look at the trend of inflation in this country, inflation has risen consistently for 24 months. If you look at what has happened for the year 2020, inflation was 13.25%, 2021 16, 2022 18, 2023 24, and then this year 34. That means that there is something that is not being done correctly in this country. And predominantly, what is the problem is that we are not producing internally. Nigeria must make conscious effort to go into production, because we are losing it on the basis of competitiveness, because we have a dampened economic activity. There's just general slowdown of economic activities. There is difficulty in financing investment in this country. And on the basis of what we have so far, there is a tendency that we are going to have it worse. And let me tell you that even the statistics that National Bureau of Statistics roll out, if you go to the market, every day Nigeria, you will see that even the 34.80% is not the right inflationary rate for this country. If you look at what happens in the country, even the food inflation rate reported at 89% doesn't seem to be correct, but these figures are just made to manage the economy and not put pressure on the hearts of the people. But what we feel is by far much more than the figures that they read. There must be deliberate effort on the government to be engaged in real production in the economy for us to be able to have something to export. That will lessen the pressure that we have on the naira and make the naira stronger and become more competitive instead of relying completely on the crude oil that we sell and then eventually end up importing refined petroleum products. We will not make headway until deliberate effort is made on the government to go in production in the real sector of the economy. Otherwise, these promises will still end up as fallacies.
All right, we thank you so much for sharing your views with us on Galaxy TV. We truly appreciate your input. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, that's Joseph Fefa, an economist from Benue State University, Makodi.